Hello, I'm Heather at Umi Nami Farm, and I'm here in Minami Ichi greenhouse with the last cucumbers that we still have for the season. It's October 7th today, and we are in fall, although it really doesn't feel like fall with this extended dry warm period that we're having. I've never seen anything like this before. But I just want to show you a little bit of what we have going on right now, and we'll talk a bit about cucumbers, we'll talk a bit about daikon, and hopefully talk a bit about greenhouse plastic replacement, which we're also doing today. So cucumbers, these guys are amazing. They don't want to stop. These ones are our late planted cucumbers. We sowed the seeds sometime in June. We would normally never bother planting cucumbers that late, but like I talked about in earlier videos, we had a very slow start to this season. So we did try planting an extra batch, and they took really well. Like once the weather was nice and warm, they took really well. Sometimes cucumbers, it can actually be too hot in the greenhouse for them sometimes, but this particular house gets the late afternoon shade, and so I think it worked out kind of nicely. So you can see they're still putting out new growth. They're still taking up lots of water. You can see the water droplets on the leaves there. That means there's plenty of water coming in through their roots. You can also see some little baby cucumbers getting ready to sprout here, and this kind of like nice soft lush new growth. I'm still seeing lots of that coming on these plants. That being said, you can tell the older leaves they're not looking so great. Powdery mildew. We don't bother doing anything to try to prevent it. It's just, if you have cucumbers or zucchinis, you're kind of going to have powdery mildew at some point, as is the way we tend to look at it. And so yeah, these guys, if you look around, the plants do look old, but if you look closely, there's new growth. These guys will probably just keep on going until we get a frost kind of a thing, which at this point, who knows when that's going to be. In the meantime, we'll keep harvesting them. And so if you're in the box program, you'll keep seeing cucumbers for a little while, but production's gradually tapering off. For eggplants and things like this too, also we're definitely seeing a gradual decline. But that's the nature of the season. Let's go take a look at some of the other crops. So one of the nice things about this long dry period is it's making it a lot easier for us to harvest our squash. Normally we'd be having to look for these like little dry windows to be able to do that. Right now every day is dry, so we can just do it gradually as much as possible. This is our kobocha squash here. The vines have died down. You can look at the stem of the squash. It's gotten all brown and corky. That's what we're looking for knowing when it's time to harvest. This particular one got a little bit sunburned here or something. This is actually the blossom. Like that would have been a nice yellow flower back when this had its genesis. Anyways, so we take that off. We harvest them just by breaking here. And then we'll wipe these off. We actually use organic apple cider vinegar as a wipe to help them keep from molding during the winter. And yeah, then we'll dry these out in one of the greenhouses before storing them indoors somewhere. And then this will be something that we can eat and sell all through the winter. I've actually seen these squash still be eatable the May following the October when they were harvested. Like I said in our previous video, we don't have a lot of these this year, so you might not be seeing them in your box until a bit later in the winter. But we do have some. They're looking good, and we got to get them out of the field before the rats find them first. So that's going to be one of the big priorities in the near future. So one of the crops we really look forward to in the fall is Chinese cabbage, also in Japanese known as hakusai. And yeah, this is our hakusai crop. They are looking so beautiful and green. I don't know what it is, makes a really sweet smell in the greenhouse, but when I walk in, I really notice a certain fragrance in the air. I don't know if it's the cabbage or something else. But these guys, we transplanted these about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And it's probably going to be at least another month-ish before we're able to harvest anything, but they're looking very beautiful, and so we look forward to hopefully having Chinese cabbage for you in the box program or at Fujiya sometime soon. Now, one of the reasons why we only grow Chinese cabbage in the greenhouse in the fall is because just like we love eating hakusai, all kinds of bugs love to eat it as well. There's a worm, a worm as in like a little caterpillar that likes to kind of like just make a hole straight toward the heart of the cabbage and make a mess while it's in there. Hopefully we won't get too many of them this year, but we find that we have less of that insect inside the greenhouse and less of it in the fall as compared to the spring. So Here's hoping we have a good crop this year. So we were on our way to go look at the daikon, but before we talk about daikon, I just wanted to show you guys one thing real quick. At this time of year, there's a lot of spiders. I'm guessing it's because they just kind of finally gotten big enough at this time of year that I start to notice them more. But one of the types of spiders I'm really noticing a lot of is, I guess I just call them funnel web spiders. They must have some species name that I'm not yet aware of. But they're a brown spider that makes this web where there's a wide mouth at the top and then it goes down here. Is that even a spider you see in there? As it goes down to a funnel where the spider will sit at the bottom of the funnel. And we see these all over the place. Like we see them here in the bitter melon plants. We see them sometimes at the edges of the greenhouse. Sometimes just even various places around in the soil. And so I always think of this as being the season of spiders, because this is when I really notice these guys being active. These ones and also some other species also. So fall is also the season of daikon. We showed you guys these ones in an earlier video. They are getting nice and big now. Yeah, that's pretty much, this is on the early side of harvestable stage, looking nice and beautiful. Now this year, because the weather has stayed warm and dry a lot longer, we're actually having more insect problems. I believe it's cabbage maggot, but it might be something else, will attack this upper part of the daikon. They'll lay their eggs and then the larvae will burrow into the daikon. We're noticing a lot more daikon with those problems, and the problems are a lot worse than normal. And so as time goes by, we might be asking you to just please be tolerant of some insect damage in the daikon, because it can be more and more challenging to find ones that are really nice and perfect for selling. But hopefully whatever you get will still be delicious. I know at this time of year, normally we get a lot of, once we start to get more rain, the daikon really, soak up all that rainwater, get nice and fat and juicy. We aren't having that effect yet. They still taste great, but that really, really juicy daikon is something that we'll have to wait until we get some proper rain. So we'll see how the balance works out in terms of warmth versus moisture at the time when the rain finally comes, kind of a thing. So it's still the season of daikon. They're still looking gorgeous, but we won't quite get that ultra juicy texture until the rain comes. And like I said, we are noticing a lot more insect damage in that upper part of the daikon. And so just please be patient with us. Please be tolerant if you see a bit of insect damage in the daikon in your vegetable box. This would have been long enough. Install this side down, so we're doing all right. Oh, not totally. Yeah, all right, thank you so much for watching today. We are hoping to do our next update in early November. Between now and then is a really key time for us to have one more push to plant stuff that we'll be able to harvest in the fall and winter. It's also a big push for us to plant any cover crops that we're going to plant to protect the soil during the winter. Speaking of which, the big thing facing us right now is we just have not seen any meaningful rain yet, and so we don't know how we're going to get all these cover crops planted necessarily, but we're going to do our best, and we really look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks. Bye for now.